We often hear that lasting transformation requires time, months, years, or even decades. But today I want to share with you something different. Over the course of just 1 week, I introduced 5 specific habits into my life, and the impact was nothing short of remarkable. These weren't just simple actions, they were based on neuroscience, biology, and the way our brains respond to positive change. In this brief period, I unlocked shifts that not only improved my mental and physical well-being, but also redefined my perspective on what is possible in such a short time. So, let's dive into these 5 habits rooted in scientific understanding that can empower you to make life-changing shifts in just 7 days. Sleep is often underestimated in its importance, yet it is one of the most critical factors for optimizing both mental and physical performance. Prioritizing sleep isn't just about getting a full 8 hours, it's about the quality and consistency of that sleep, which plays a massive role in how our brain and body function throughout the day. In my own experience, focusing on improving my sleep hygiene brought about immediate and noticeable improvements in my focus, emotional resilience, and physical health. The first step in prioritizing sleep was recognizing its influence on everything from cognitive function to mood regulation. Research consistently shows that sleep is a cornerstone of memory consolidation, emotional processing, and decision-making. When we sleep, our brain doesn't simply rest, it actively processes and organizes information, consolidates memories, and clears out toxins. This is why when we skimp on sleep, it's not just our energy that suffers, our ability to think clearly and make sound judgments diminishes as well. I quickly learned that if I wanted to perform at my highest level, I needed to value sleep as much as my waking hours. One of the key changes I made was establishing a consistent sleep schedule. This means going to bed and waking up at the same time every day, even on weekends. Our bodies are deeply influenced by circadian rhythms, the internal clocks that regulate our sleep-wake cycle. When we disrupt this cycle by staying up too late or waking up too early, we interfere with our body's natural processes, which can lead to poor sleep quality and even long-term health consequences. By sticking to a consistent sleep schedule, I noticed that falling asleep became easier, and I woke up feeling more refreshed and alert. The environment in which we sleep is another critical factor. A room that is too bright, too noisy, or too warm can significantly disrupt our ability to achieve deep, restorative sleep. I invested time in optimizing my sleep space. This included dimming the lights an hour before bed, eliminating all screens to avoid blue light exposure, and ensuring that my room was cool and quiet. I also made sure my mattress and pillows were comfortable and supportive. It may seem like small adjustments, but the cumulative effect of these changes was profound. I found myself sleeping more soundly and waking up with greater clarity. One of the biggest revelations I had was the importance of winding down before bed. For years, I had fallen into the trap of rushing into bed after a long day, my mind still buzzing from the events of the day. However, the more I learned about sleep, the more I realized that having a wind-down routine was essential for preparing both my mind and body for rest. This included activities like reading a book, stretching, or practicing deep breathing exercises. These activities helped signal to my body that it was time to slow down and transition into sleep mode, making it easier to fall asleep and stay asleep. Another aspect of sleep that often goes unnoticed is the impact of stress on our ability to rest. The busier life gets, the more we tend to bring stress into the bedroom. This is a trap I fell into for a long time, laying in bed replaying the events of the day or worrying about what was to come. However, I learned that creating a sense of calm before bed could significantly improve the quality of my sleep. Meditation, journaling, and deep breathing exercises became powerful tools for clearing my mind and releasing the mental clutter that often kept me awake. Incorporating these sleep-focused habits didn't just change how I felt in the morning, it transformed the way I approached every aspect of my life. With better sleep came more energy, better mood regulation, and a sharper mind. It's incredible how something as simple as prioritizing sleep can have such a far-reaching effect on overall well-being. By making sleep a non-negotiable part of my routine, I noticed that everything else, my productivity, emotional state, and even physical health improved as a result. It wasn't just a matter of getting more hours of sleep, but rather the quality of that sleep that truly made the difference. Morning sunlight exposure is one of the most effective and accessible habits to optimize our overall health and well-being, yet it is often overlooked in today's modern lifestyle. The simple act of stepping outside and allowing natural sunlight to hit your skin and eyes within the first hour of waking up can have profound effects on your circadian rhythm, mood, and productivity. It wasn't until I made morning sunlight exposure a priority that I began to experience significant improvements in my energy levels, mental clarity, and even sleep quality. One of the most powerful reasons why morning sunlight is so beneficial is because of its impact on the body's internal clock, or circadian rhythm. Our circadian rhythm regulates various physiological processes, including our sleep-wake cycle, hormone production, and body temperature. This rhythm is largely influenced by the presence of natural light, particularly sunlight in the morning. Exposure to sunlight in the early hours helps signal to our brain that it is time to wake up and become alert, while simultaneously reducing the production of melatonin, the hormone that makes us feel sleepy. This shift in hormone production is critical for maintaining energy throughout the day, as well as for ensuring that we feel naturally tired at night. When I started making it a point to get outside within the first 30 minutes of waking, I noticed a dramatic improvement in how I felt. Not only did my body feel more awake and alert, but I also found that my mood improved significantly. Natural sunlight triggers the release of serotonin, a neurotransmitter that is responsible for regulating mood, reducing feelings of depression, and promoting feelings of well-being. The boost in serotonin levels in the morning set a positive tone for the rest of my day, helping me feel more optimistic and motivated to tackle the tasks ahead. On the flip side, not getting enough exposure to natural light, especially in the morning, can lead to mood imbalances and even contribute to the development of seasonal affective disorder, ANDREW, a condition that is linked to lack of sunlight exposure. One of the key aspects of morning sunlight exposure is its effect on sleep. Many people struggle with sleep-related issues such as insomnia, poor quality sleep, or difficulty falling asleep at night. What I discovered is that sunlight exposure in the morning has a direct impact on how well we sleep at night. By resetting the circadian rhythm early in the day, our body knows when it should be awake and when it should wind down in the evening. This regulation helps align our body's internal clock with the external world, making it easier to fall asleep at a consistent time and experience deeper, more restful sleep. I noticed that after just a few days of getting outside in the morning, I was falling asleep faster and waking up feeling more rested. Another unexpected benefit of morning sunlight exposure is its role in boosting productivity and focus. The combination of increased alertness from serotonin release and the regulation of circadian rhythms created a sense of clarity and mental sharpness that lasted throughout the day. I found that when I started my mornings with sunlight exposure, I could focus more intently on my work, complete tasks with greater efficiency, and make fewer mistakes. The impact on productivity was not just a result of feeling awake, it was also about how my brain was primed to function at its best. Sunlight triggers the production of cortisol, a hormone that helps regulate energy levels and enhances focus, helping to keep my brain alert and active throughout the day. Incorporating morning sunlight into my routine didn't require any major lifestyle changes. All I had to do was make the conscious decision to step outside or sit by a window that let in natural light. Even on cloudy days, the benefits of exposure to natural light are still significant, as it's much more powerful than artificial light. I made it a non-negotiable part of my morning routine, whether it was through a walk outside, sitting on my balcony with a cup of coffee, or simply standing by a window for a few minutes. Within just a week of implementing this habit, I began to feel more energized, emotionally balanced, and focused throughout the day. What's incredible about morning sunlight exposure is how simple and accessible it is. It costs nothing, takes only a few minutes, and the benefits are profound. The consistent practice of allowing natural sunlight to enter my daily routine not only made me feel more awake and alert, but also supported my mental and physical health in ways I had never expected. As a result, I began to notice improvements in everything from my productivity at work to my sleep patterns, and the positive impact of this simple habit lasted throughout the day. Deep focus on one task at a time is a habit that has transformed the way I work, think, and live. In today's world, where distractions are constant and the pressure to multitask is ever present, focusing on a single task can feel almost counterintuitive. However, I found that by training my mind to immerse fully in one activity at a time, I've seen significant improvements in my productivity, mental clarity, and overall satisfaction with my work and personal life. The first step I took toward deep focus was recognizing how fragmented my attention had become. In the past, I often prided myself on being able to juggle multiple tasks simultaneously, from answering emails while participating in a meeting to scrolling through social media while working on a project. At the time, it felt efficient. However, I began to realize that this fragmented attention was not only draining my energy, but also diminishing the quality of my work. Multitasking may seem productive in the short term, but research has shown that it actually reduces our cognitive performance and increases the likelihood of making mistakes. It became clear that if I wanted to perform at my best, I needed to refocus my efforts on doing one thing at a time with my full attention. I started by setting aside specific blocks of time for each task, creating what is known as a time block or single tasking schedule. This meant that instead of bouncing between tasks, I would dedicate a specific amount of time to one activity and give it my full concentration. At first, it was a challenge to avoid the temptation of checking my phone or jumping to the next task, but I quickly realized how much more efficient I became when I eliminated those distractions. When I focused solely on the task at hand, my mind was able to engage at a deeper level, allowing me to produce higher quality work in less time. Another crucial element of deep focus is eliminating distractions. In the modern world, distractions are everywhere: notifications from emails, social media, texts, and even people interrupting our workflow. To maintain focus, I had to make a conscious effort to remove as many distractions as possible. This meant turning off notifications, closing unnecessary tabs on my computer, and setting clear boundaries with others about when I was unavailable. I also created a designated workspace that was free from clutter and distractions, which allowed my mind to stay centered on the task. This environment became essential for deep work. It wasn't about simply avoiding distractions, but about creating a space that facilitated deep focus. One of the most profound shifts came when I learned the importance of allowing myself to work for extended periods without interruption. Initially, I found it difficult to stay engaged in one task for long stretches of time. My mind would wander and I would begin to feel restless. However, I realized that by gradually increasing the amount of time I spent focusing on one task, I could build my mental stamina. The more I practiced deep focus, the easier it became to stay engaged for longer periods. I used techniques like the Pomodoro method, where I would work intensely for 25-minute blocks, followed by short breaks. This approach helped me stay productive without burning out. Over time, I noticed that not only was I getting more done, but the quality of my work improved because I was able to give each task my undivided attention. The impact of deep focus extended beyond my work life. I began to notice that when I gave my full attention to whatever I was doing, whether it was spending time with family, exercising, or simply relaxing, I felt more present in the moment. In a world filled with constant distractions, the ability to focus deeply allowed me to engage more fully in all areas of my life. I started enjoying activities more, from having conversations to working on personal projects. The simple act of being present in each moment helped me build stronger relationships, improve my health, and feel more satisfied with my daily experiences. I also discovered that deep focus enhanced my problem-solving abilities. When I gave myself the time and space to truly immerse myself in a problem, without jumping between tasks or worrying about other distractions, my ability to come up with creative solutions and insight skyrocketed. I found that I could approach challenges with a clear mind and a sense of purpose, rather than feeling overwhelmed by the multitude of things I had to juggle. This clarity allowed me to tackle issues head-on and come up with innovative ideas that I would have missed if I had been multitasking. Over time, deep focus became not just a habit, but a lifestyle change. It wasn't about pushing myself harder or working longer hours. It was about creating an environment where I could truly concentrate on what mattered most. With each task, I became more efficient, effective, and energized. The practice of focusing deeply on one thing at a time gave me the clarity and discipline I needed to succeed, and it has continued to be one of the most transformative habits I've adopted. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the key to doing more is doing less, but doing it with all your attention and energy. Journaling for clarity is a practice that has brought immense value to my life, and it is a habit that has had a profound impact on both my mental and emotional well-being. I started journaling as a way to clear my mind, but what I quickly discovered was that it became a powerful tool for self-reflection, problem-solving, and personal growth. By committing to this habit, I gained clarity in ways I hadn't anticipated, and it helped me navigate the complexities of daily life with greater focus and purpose. Initially, I didn't expect much from journaling. I thought it would simply be a way to jot down thoughts and ideas as they came to me. But as I began to make journaling a regular part of my routine, I began to notice that it became much more than a simple task. It became a sacred space for self-exploration. The act of writing down my thoughts, feelings, and observations allowed me to untangle the mental clutter that often clouded my judgment. Instead of keeping everything in my head, I could externalize my thoughts on paper, giving myself the space to organize and make sense of them. What surprised me the most was how journaling helped me gain clarity about my emotions. In moments of stress, anxiety, or overwhelm, I often found myself trapped in a cycle of negative thinking. However, when I began writing down what I was feeling and why I felt that way, I noticed a shift. By simply putting my emotions into words, I was able to separate myself from the intensity of those feelings and gain a sense of control. I could step back and look at my emotions from a more objective standpoint, which allowed me to process them in a healthier way. It became a way to release pent-up emotions and clear out any mental fog that was hindering my ability to think clearly. One of the most significant changes I experienced through journaling was the increased self-awareness it brought. As I wrote daily, I began to notice patterns in my thoughts, behaviors, and reactions that I had never consciously recognized before. For example, I realized that I often reacted to certain situations with a level of frustration or impatience that wasn't entirely warranted. Journaling gave me the opportunity to reflect on these patterns and understand where they came from. Were these reactions tied to past experiences, fears, or insecurities? Once I started to identify the underlying causes, I was better equipped to address them, rather than letting them control my actions. This process of self-discovery was both empowering and enlightening, as it gave me the tools to break free from old habits and emotional triggers. Journaling also served as a tool for problem solving. When I faced challenges or decisions that felt overwhelming, I turned to my journal to sort through my thoughts. By writing out the situation and all the possible options, I was able to approach the problem with a clearer perspective. It was almost as if the act of writing helped me tap into a deeper level of insight and creativity. I started to notice solutions that I hadn't considered before and was able to weigh the pros and cons more objectively. Journaling became my way of thinking through complex issues in a more organized and intentional manner. In addition to helping with emotional clarity and problem solving, journaling also became a tool for gratitude and mindfulness. Each morning, I began writing down 3 things I was grateful for. This simple act shifted my focus from what I didn't have or what was going wrong in my life to what was going right. It helped me cultivate a mindset of abundance and appreciation, which in turn positively impacted my outlook on life. The more I practiced gratitude, the more I noticed the small, beautiful things that often went unnoticed in the hustle and bustle of daily life. This practice of writing about my gratitude grounded me in the present moment and reminded me to appreciate the journey, rather than focusing solely on the destination. The consistency of journaling also helped me track my growth over time. As I read back through older entries, I was able to see how much I had changed, how my thinking had evolved, and how I had overcome challenges that once seemed insurmountable. It served as a personal record of my journey, a reminder of the strength I had within me and the progress I had made. It was encouraging to see how my perspective had shifted and how I had grown in ways I hadn't noticed in the day-to-day. This sense of progress gave me confidence in my ability to continue evolving and facing whatever came my way. Through journaling, I was able to create a deeper connection with myself. It became a ritual that allowed me to check in with my inner world, understand my emotions, and process my thoughts in a meaningful way. The clarity I gained from journaling didn't just help me solve problems or manage emotions, it also empowered me to make more intentional choices and align my actions with my values. It became a key component of my self-care routine and a practice I could rely on whenever I needed to reconnect with my purpose. What began as a simple habit for mental clarity transformed into a powerful tool for personal growth, and it continues to be a vital part of my life today. Learning to say no was a pivotal habit that significantly changed my life in a short amount of time. For most of my life, I prided myself on being agreeable and accommodating. I wanted to help others, be available when needed, and always maintain a positive, cooperative image. However, I eventually realized that constantly saying yes to every request, obligation, and opportunity was draining me emotionally and physically. Saying yes to everything meant saying no to myself, my goals, and my well-being. The habit of saying no, though initially uncomfortable, became a vital skill that helped me regain control over my time, energy, and life. The first shift in my mindset occurred when I recognized how often I was overcommitting myself. I would say yes to social events, work projects, and favors for friends and family without considering the impact it had on my schedule or my mental health. It wasn't that I didn't want to be helpful or supportive. Rather, I began to realize that by saying yes to everyone else's needs, I was neglecting my own. I felt overwhelmed, exhausted, and stretched thin, and the more I said yes, the less I was able to show up as my best self. I was constantly running on empty, and this left me feeling resentful and disconnected from my own priorities. The turning point came when I had to face the reality that my well-being and my personal goals were more important than pleasing everyone else. I had to learn that it was okay to disappoint people or let them down in order to take care of myself. The first few times I said no felt incredibly uncomfortable. I feared that I might upset others or hurt their feelings. However, I soon learned that people respected my boundaries